Yo, what's going on, guys? We're gonna talk really quick about Metroid Dread and my overall thoughts on it. I don't want to really keep you guys here for too long, just talking about a game that I'm sure most of you have already beaten before, unless you're someone who did not pick it up, which is also okay. But, you know, for now, I'm just gonna talk about myself a little bit. You don't mind, right? That's why you're here. But I want to start off by saying that Metroid Dread, I predicted, or I believe, that the game is going to sell a lot, right? And I think that's fair to say. But it also helps that the game is actually really good, and is not just, you know, making sales based upon what, you know, fans just being really loud and vocal about how good it is. And it should be, you know, they should be vocal, because Metroid is a series that really does deserve a lot more attention, and it just does not get that kind of attention, at least not usually. Metroid Dread, however, is getting a lot of good attention, and that's really dope, because the game is really good. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm pretty much a Castlevania fan and a Metroid fan, right? But when I first heard MercurySteam was making like an actual fully fledged Metroid game, I was actually kind of interested, but not in the, oh, this is definitely going to be good kind of way. It was more so like, oh no, I'm really concerned. Because if you are familiar with MercurySteam's work on Castlevania, they pretty much made a game that maybe you like it, and if that's the case, that is perfectly okay. But I just do not like that game. I believe the game was called Castlevania Lords of Shadows Mirror of Fate. That game was originally released on the 3DS, and I believe it also got an HD re-release on like regular home consoles, like I believe like the Xbox and the PlayStation. And that was kind of it. And the game just was not very good. Now, mind you, I am also someone who really does not like the Lords of Shadow story arc, essentially, of the Castlevania franchise. I felt like that was just a really poor, you know, representation of the franchise. It didn't do a very good job. It was just a cheap God of War knockoff type of game that just didn't really resonate well with most Castlevania fans. Now, again, if you like these games, that is perfectly okay. You're more than welcome to enjoy them. But for some reason, the 3DS game specifically in these Lords of Shadow games was developed by MercurySteam. That game did not do too well, both critically and, to my knowledge, I don't think it did very well commercially. Now, I can't guarantee that. That's just what I believe, but I digress. So when I heard that, you know, they were making Samus Returns, I honestly was expecting the game not to do that well, but it did. It released, the game is great, and it went well. So now we are here with Metroid Dread, and now this is the first time MercurySteam is making a new game, to my knowledge, since that Lords of Shadow game, and so I was concerned again. Dread in general, I'm aware of the history, right? There's a history of certain people within Nintendo wanting this game to exist for a very long time, and they felt like they just couldn't do that until recently. And I think that's really cool that despite the crazy amount of time it's been, 19 years since Metroid Fusion, that we finally got that game that they envisioned for quite a long time. So on one hand, I was extremely excited over the prospect of just finally seeing Dread be an actual, real, tangible game that I'm holding in my hand and playing, and that's incredible to me. On the other hand, MercurySteam, to my knowledge, had one pretty big blunder and one pretty good game, but the pretty good game was a remake. It was a very loose remake though, as in like it had a lot of creative freedom in it, so I had a lot more confidence this time that they could do something well. And who knows, maybe Nintendo's direction is what MercurySteam needed. Maybe they are very talented developers that just needed the right guidance. And you know what? After playing Metroid Dread, after beating it, I don't think this game is bad. It's not bad. In fact, it's quite good. It's great. It's amazing even. It's probably one of the best games I played this year. And that's saying something, because I played a lot of good games this year. And I'm just extremely impressed to see MercurySteam go from a developer that I was just cautious and apprehensive upon seeing their name associated with a project, going from that to being one of the, being the developers for one of my favorite games of the year for, a top tier franchise like Metroid. And who knows, maybe the reason why Nintendo didn't make this game for a long time is because they just couldn't find the right team. And maybe MercurySteam just couldn't make Lords of Shadow good. I mean, again, I have to reiterate, I did not like Lords of Shadow even before MercurySteam was involved. So maybe it was just Konami's decision to make a game within Lords of Shadow that really cultivated in the MercurySteam developed Castlevania title to be so mediocre. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just unsalvageable for MercurySteam to work through. Or maybe they just, didn't have the guidance that they have with Nintendo. There could be a multitude of reasons why Lords of Shadow just did not work in their favor, but Metroid did. Who knows, right? So I think it's really interesting to see that happen, and I think that Metroid Dread is just absolutely incredible. It has great detail, and the music is more atmospheric. Like, it's not really the kind of thing that you'll, really be bumping to away from the game, but it's actually really, really well done for what it is. The boss fights are challenging, and it's just the right amount of challenging where the game, gives you enough chances to really learn how the boss interacts and acts during the fight, and allows you to learn and advance forward. Typically, when you get a power-up, you're almost like funneled in the right direction, where they don't quite, make the game linear and keep you going in a very specific, narrow direction. But they typically will keep you in the area of where you gotta go next, so that way you don't really get lost unless you plan to backtrack on your own and collect, upgrades and anything else and just explore throughout the map. I think that's a really good system. It kind of rewards players for exploring, and at the same time, any players who are not really the type to explore and just want to experience the story or the progression that is Metroid Dread, it's much harder to get lost. Now, mind you, I'm not saying you can't get lost. You definitely do get lost. But I feel like compared to other Metroid games, it happens significantly less in this game, and I feel like that's an overall positive. Not to mention I feel like the way the game plays around with the camera angles and cutscenes is really well done. It makes the game really cinematic. Of course, the parry system is back from Samus Returns, as well as the free aim mode. Both of those things are, additions that I actually really loved from Samus Returns, and seeing him back in Dread is actually just fantastic. I have no complaints when it comes to that. And the best addition in Metroid Dread by far is the same thing you guys have seen through all the promotional material, the trailers, the advertising, and that is the Emmys, the stalker robot-like enemy that basically just tracks you down by listening to you walk, by listening to you move, by listening to you do anything in its vicinity. It'll track you down, and it'll do its very best to kill Samus. And all you can do about it is run and hide. And I think that is awesome. It adds this extra layer of anxiety-inducing gameplay that kind of really complements the overall exploration of the game, and the parry system especially, because when you get caught by an enemy, 9 times out of 10 it is an instant death kill. Like, you're going to die, and that is okay. That is typically what makes it so anxiety inducing. But at the same time, there is a last resort option where you have almost like a split second, frame one, you have to hit that parry exactly when that enemy is going to try to kill you. And if you land it, boom, Samus gets a kick or a arm cannon melee to the head, smacks that enemy to the side, says, fuck that, you're not killing me today, and you're able to escape. And that is so much fun. I only really got it down maybe 4 times, maybe, able to get away from the enemy doing so, but it is so much fun. I love this game. This game is phenomenal. If you did not buy Metroid Dread for any reason, maybe you're just like apprehensive about the genre or whatever the case may be, this is a great way to really get into Metroid, get into Metroidvanias, and it just has amazing combat, really fluid animations in motion, really cool looking animations and cutscenes and cinematography with the cameras. It's just really good. It's a really good game. and honestly, I don't think I can recommend it enough. It's by far one of the best games of the year. I'm not sure if it's the best yet, but I'm definitely going to do multiple playthroughs to try to figure that one out for myself. And I think that's all I have for you guys. I don't want to keep you guys here for too long, but just let me know if you guys picked up Metroid Dread in any capacity. You know, did you play it? Did you beat it? Are you still going through it? Or are you just not interested? You know, regardless of what the reason is, let me know in the comments down below. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Shifty, yeah, shifty. Wanna be the #1 gamer? Come and get me. It'd be dope if you subscribe. Could you like the vid, please? Take your time, you don't gotta do it swiftly. Shifty, shifty. Wanna be the #1 gamer? Come and get me.